Hello, listeners, and welcome back to the Digestible Podcast, where we give you all the health and wellness information you want and need for your busy day, and we make it easily digestible. I'm Staci, along with my co-host Missy, and today, actually, we have a special request from one of our longtime listeners. Amy R. asked us if we would do an episode on the milks. How many of you have walked into your favorite coffee shop or into your grocery store and been like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Is dairy in? Is dairy out? Or is nut milk in? Is nut milk out? What about soy? Healthy, not healthy? So we have brought in a dietitian to help us break it down. Missy, will you introduce our guest?
Absolutely. So today we're talking with Natalie Rizzo. She's an MSRD. She's a New York-based registered dietitian, a food and nutrition writer, a national spokesperson, and owner of Greenleaf, a successful plant-based sports nutrition company. Natalie has bylines in many national publications such as Today.com, where we found her, Runner's World, NBC News, Eating Well, and Prevention. Natalie is a master's in nutrition and exercise physiology from Columbia University and has been a vegetarian for more than a decade. You can follow her on Instagram at Greenleats. And we'll put her information in the show notes. But she was great because, yeah, I mean, there's all these different kinds of milks, and some of us have certainly figured out which ones we like the taste of, but do we know which ones are packed with calories, which ones are packed with extra fat, maybe...
Or protein.
Yes, and then there's, of course, the ones that have the protein. And so she really helps us out. She wrote a great piece on Today.com, and we wanted her to come to the show and help educate. Thank you, Amy R., for your request.
Enjoy the show. Hi, Natalie. Welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you.
Hi. Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, so let's get into this. As someone who does not usually drink much dairy, I think everybody wants to know, what are we supposed to be drinking? So let's talk about dairy milk first. Is it good for people?
Yeah, it's the original, right? Like kids, I have two kids that are 2 and 4, and still to this day, they're told, drink milk, drink your milk. We're all told that from the time we're young because it is a beneficial, healthy drink. It does have a lot of vitamins and minerals. It has 9 essential vitamins and minerals. It has protein. It has vitamin D, which is incredibly hard to get in the diet. It has calcium. So it is beneficial. It also has calories, like you said. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, there's kind of spoiler alert for the rest of the podcast, but there's nothing wrong with drinking cow's milk.
Okay, so then if we're drinking milk, like for so long, everyone's like skim milk, skim milk, skim milk. And now everyone's like healthy fats, healthy fats. Where does milk fall into this? Should we be drinking whole, 2%, or skim?
So the fat within milk is a combination of saturated fat, and saturated fat is quote unquote the bad fat, the one that causes higher cholesterol, higher triglycerides, and it's also a combination of unsaturated fat, which is quote unquote the good fat that you would get in nuts and oils like olive oil. So whole milk has obviously more fat. The fat is not removed. That is the way that the milk comes out, and because of that, it also has more calories. And for some people, that's not what they want. It's very creamy, it's too many calories, it's too much saturated fat. And generally, most people really don't need to be drinking whole milk. For instance, with kids, they tell any kid who's under 2 to drink whole milk because it helps with weight gain. But over 2, they say you can go down to a low-fat milk. So really, people who are over 2 years old can drink a low-fat milk. And a lot of people like the taste of it just as much, whether it's 1% or 2%. And it has less of this kind of saturated fat and less of those calories. So it's really a personal preference, but most people are fine with a lower fat milk.
And do we want a little bit of fat in our milk just to kind of balance out like the calories we're getting and how quickly they digest or how it affects our blood sugar? Like it's good to have a little fat in there?
A little bit of fat helps with satiety, meaning that it keeps you fuller longer. But the other thing is milk is naturally very rich in protein. So 1 cup of milk has about 8 grams of protein. And that's the case for whole milk, low-fat milk, and skim milk. I think skim milk may have maybe 1 or 2 grams less. So that actually helps keep you full. So you don't necessarily need the fat, but also it tastes better. Skim milk, I think a lot of people will agree, tastes a little bit watery, and that's because all of the fat has been taken out. So 1% has just 1% of the fat in it, and it tastes a little better. So I think people who, want a better taste will go for a low-fat milk.
I had heard that if you're drinking skim milk, because the fat's been removed, it's sort of replaced with the sugars. So you're drinking more sugar. Is that?
So milk itself doesn't have any sugar added, but lactose is a sugar. And they're not adding any added sugar unless, of course, you're drinking a chocolate milk or a vanilla milk or a strawberry milk or anything like that.
Right.
So I don't think that that's the case. But and also, in general, I usually tell people don't worry about natural sugars, which are things like lactose.
Okay. So now we have to get into what I'm so curious about, which is the dairy-free milks, because that's where I spend most of my time. So let's start with soy, because soy's been around the longest, I think. Is that one the closest to real milk in its nutrition profile and health benefits?
Yes. So every plant milk is a little bit processed because they're not actually milks. They are, plant-based alternatives. So that's the one difference from that versus a cow's milk, is that there's a little bit of processing that goes into turning this into a milk. But in terms of nutrition, soy milk is the one that compares to milk the most. It has, again, like 8 grams of protein per cup. A lot of times they fortify these milks with the nutrients that are in regular milk, and fortifying means that when it's produced, they just add those nutrients in. So a lot of times they have vitamin D added in there, and then soy is actually rich in calcium. So it has the calcium. I think it's somewhat comparable to cow's milk. It's not exactly the same, but it has a decent amount of calcium. So if you're looking for something that has similar nutrition profile, soy is the one that's going to be closest to regular milk. And also, it kind of tastes similar to cow's milk.
Great. Okay. What about coconut milk? Since you said it's not really a milk, coconut milk is milk, right? I mean, it's coconut milk.
I love coconut milk. Not the canned one, but the one on the shelf, like the one that's easy pour.
Yeah,
that's the exception to the rule. And unfortunately, I have a little bit of bad news about coconut milk.
Oh no!
Coconuts are the only fruit that are very high in saturated fat. So when I work in the plant-based space a lot, and a lot of people will eat vegan cheese or vegan ice cream, and it's using coconut milk or coconut oil. And unfortunately, if you ever look at the label of, say, like a coconut milk-based yogurt, it'll have like 50% of your daily saturated fat in that one yogurt, just because coconut milk is so high in saturated fat. So I would not recommend drinking that every day, but it does taste delicious if you use it in a soup or in a curry or something like that.
Okay. So here and there, but not every day in your coffee or every day in your oatmeal or whatever.
And I have to say, the best tasting of all the non-dairy milks, in my opinion, but I think a lot of people agree, is oat milk. But I have been told that it's just like basically a sugar bomb to your blood.
Yeah, I personally like oat milk in my coffee as well. And again, oats are not naturally fatty, so they have to add a fat in to turn it into something that is like a milk. So it has a lot of oil and things added in there, which is fine. I mean, it like most people, I also think most adults are using milk in such small quantities that they put it in their coffee or something like that. But if you're using oat milk because you like to eat a bowl of cereal every morning, or you want to put a cup or two in a smoothie, then unfortunately, it does have a decent amount of these kind of additives in it, like oil. And I know there's something about the processing of the way that they turn these oats into milk, that there's some added sugar in there as well. So it's not like on the top of the healthiest list.
Bummer.
Okay. What happens if you make your own oat milk? Like if you're throwing the oats in the blender with water and like a little vanilla or a date or something to sweeten it up, is it still just like you're not getting any protein in there really?
Not really. Oat milk has a lot of fiber because oats have a lot of fiber. But unfortunately, if you did that, it's not going to taste like the oat milk you buy at the store because it's watery. Really, it's
because we're not adding the fat, the oils, and the
so sad. Okay, what about almond milk? My kids usually drink the almond milk. We do the unsweet. It doesn't have a lot of additives in it. What's the opinion on almond milk?
I like almond milk. Almond milk is not similar to cow's milk in terms of nutrition because of the way that they make it. It's lighter. So a cup of almond milk may only have 40 calories, where a cup of whole milk probably has 150 calories, and skim milk probably has 100 calories. So it's much lighter. It doesn't have the protein. It surprisingly doesn't have that much fat, even though almonds are fatty. And I think it's because of the way that they turn these nuts into milk. It's more watery. So I think it's fine for if you are plant-based or you just don't like dairy and you need a milk for baking or for cereal or something like that, and you don't really care about getting all the protein in there. It has a very neutral taste.
All the almond milks that I've seen have a lot of ingredients in it.
They do sometimes.
Yeah, I always get a little wary of that. Like I would rather make
the
my
milk
own.
Doesn't. If you buy milk.
Yes, milk is good. That's why. Yep, milk. The MALK. It's a brand. They just do like it's
almonds
basically
and water and salt.
Yeah,
yeah.
Coconut milk.
That's also something you should definitely look at. Is some of them they're sweetened. Like it'll be a vanilla almond milk, or they have other random ingredients
just like all
in
these
there.
ingredients you don't recognize, like the xanthan gum and the
and we don't want the gums
emulsifiers,
right?
Yeah, xanthan gum is a stabilizer, meaning that or like an emulsifier, meaning that it adds fat. Like it makes things creamier.
Yeah.
It's not that much different than an oil, really, but all of those things, again, if you want to go the purist route, it's really cow's milk. It's natural.
Okay.
Every single plant milk has, unfortunately, some of this stuff in it, except if you buy some brands that have really taken that stuff out. But unfortunately, a lot of those brands are very expensive. So it just depends.
Okay.
Okay, what about hemp milk? I've never tried hemp milk. I see it. People mention it sometimes. Like, is there any value in that?
Yeah, it's got a decent amount of healthy fat because hemp seeds are a source of healthy fat. It's not comparable in terms of protein to the other milks. It doesn't taste great. I'm going to be truthful here. It has a grassy taste. Hemp seeds have kind of a grassy taste. I don't know a lot of people who choose hemp milk as their milk. And
I don't know people who offer it. Like if you go to like a cafe, I almost never
They have it in the stores, I always see.
Yeah. I see it too, and I'm not really sure who's using it and for what, but it's decent. It's not a terrible milk for you. It's more of if you want that omega-3 healthy fat, you're going to get that in a hemp milk.
Oh, it's good to know. Okay.
And what's your thought on cashew milk? Now, I have made that myself before, and it's so easy. You just throw like water and cashews, and if you want to add like a date or any like vanilla or cinnamon or anything to the blender, you just blend it, and it's like you don't have to filter it. It's just cashew milk. But you're just getting the benefit of the cashews in that. Yeah. And cashews are a fatty nut.
Yeah, it's similar to probably almond milk, although it may be a little creamier.
It's
maybe
creamy.
more caloric?
Yeah.
Maybe more caloric. Yeah. Okay.
It may be because I think that, it probably is a little more caloric. And when we're talking about like, going back to kind of vegan eating, people who eat like plant-based cheese or things like that, sometimes cashew cheeses will be an option.
They're so
because
good.
Cashews, they're soft and they blend to be creamy. So cashew milk is a little bit creamier. Again, it's not going to have the protein that you want if you want protein, but it will have some of those healthy fats. So it definitely, and it has more of a neutral taste. Cashews are very palatable for a lot of people.
Speaking of like neutral taste, what about rice milk? Same thing? Like neutral taste?
Very thin.
Milk, rice milk is watery. I don't understand rice milk, to be honest. It's the one that I would say, I don't really understand what we're doing with that one because it doesn't have anything. Like it doesn't have any nutritional value. It's very watery. I think it was before they started making all of these plant-based milks, that was the first one. Yes. And I think that it's still stuck around, but I don't think a lot of people use it as much anymore.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is like nutrition-wise, cow's milk is the one to do if you could tolerate it. And then soy milk because they have the most protein, they've got calcium. And then if you're talking about the healthy fats, we're looking at like hemp and cashew, but just be careful because it's caloric. Right. And almond, but almond has lower calories. Coconut has a lot of saturated fat.
Pistachio is another one that
pistachio milk is good. I've just tried it, but I think they're all sweetened. I haven't found an unsweetened.
They probably are sweetened, and they also are probably
they're delicious.
Yes.
They're very
But
expensive.
yes.
Are they? Well, so
There's
are
also
pistachios, right?
Yeah.
yeah. But that one will have a similar profile in terms of healthy fat and things like that. And it does have a really good taste. And then one other one that you guys didn't mention is pea milk. I don't know if
Oh,
you've
right. You
tried
mentioned that
that.
in your article.
I've
That's
never
right.
heard
Yeah.
of pea milk.
Tell
What's
us
pea
about
milk?
pea
Yes.
milk.
So my son, my youngest, who's 2 now, he had a really hard time tolerating dairy. And when you first move off of breast milk and formula onto dairy and he can't tolerate it, the next best thing the pediatricians tell you is pea milk because it has a very similar profile to dairy, and it also is very like thick and creamy without a lot of additives. So there's a brand called Ripple Foods that has a pea milk,
Oh, I've
and
seen
they
them.
actually, yeah, they fortify it like whole milk or like formula for kids specifically that has all of the nutrients that are similar to whole milk. And it tastes really creamy. It's delicious. It's obviously more expensive because it's a plant-based milk and it's like formulated to be like milk. But that one is pretty similar to soy milk too.
As
So
far as
that's
fat or nutrients and protein.
nutrients, fat, protein, all the
good.
vitamins and minerals. It's a really good option for people out there who want an alternative to dairy.
All right, well, that's a
Great.
good takeaway for everybody for today because I have never even heard of pea milk.
I haven't
And
either,
Yeah.
actually, except for the
yeah,
article
and for
that you
some
wrote.
people are a
Yeah.
little leery of the soy because of the phytoestrogens, but I believe everything I've seen and read is that they've kind of said that soy is the good estrogen, the good.
Yeah, it's the good kind, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yes, I wouldn't. Don't worry about soy. That's another
Okay.
myth. That's a whole other myth.
Okay.
Yeah,
But for
we're
a while, that
actually-
was a thing.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's why also people are doing pea protein sometimes because they are scared of soy, like you just said. So pea protein is also, you'll see it in protein powders instead of using soy protein powders for people who don't want to use whey. So yeah, pea is a very healthy alternative to dairy.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, that's
That
great. Yeah, I
sounds-
have pea protein in my protein powders. But yeah, okay,
Didn't
pea
realize it
milk.
was a milk. Right. And then also it sounds like it's not a bad idea to mix things up a little bit. Because I can have some milk, but if I have 3 servings in a day, my stomach goes bonkers. And so maybe like my first serving is cow's milk and then my second one is pea milk. And that way, if you really want to keep the milk in your life, so although a lot of people have cut them out because they're not eating cereals anymore or what have you, or drinking their coffee black. But if it's something that's a big part of your life and you are interested in changing it up or you can't tolerate the dairy, sounds like there's some great options out there.
Absolutely. I mean, I used to drink milk and put it in smoothies and have regular yogurt. And then when I got pregnant, I had terrible reflux and it honestly didn't go away after pregnancy. And I find that dairy is a trigger for that sometimes. And some people will find that dairy does trigger certain things in their digestive system. And some people tolerate it just fine. So I usually tend to go to soy milk more often. But occasionally, if there's yogurt, I'm fine with it. So it really depends. Like you said, use different things. I think I have 3 different types of milks in my fridge right now. So it's
do
fine
too.
to use various sources.
So
Okay.
that leads me to another question. Is like we have 3 different milks in our fridge because when my husband makes pancakes or if he makes anything from scratch, he wants cow's milk in it. And my kids drink the almond milk. Or they don't drink it, they put it in their cereal. And then I put the coconut milk in my smoothie, which now I think I'm going to be switching to soy or to pea, or maybe go back to making my cashew sometime. So, yeah, we have a lot of milks. Let's talk about that, the baking and the cooking.
Yeah. Do you find that
Yeah.
they behave differently based on what you're using them for?
It depends on if you are baking and it calls for milk. Sometimes if you use something like an almond milk, it may not have enough fat in it, but it depends on like what you're baking because, for instance, say you're baking a cake. Baking a cake is a science and the formula has to be exactly right. And sometimes if you throw off something by having less fat, that may make it so that the cake doesn't come out right. But generally for something like pancakes or muffins or that aren't as exact, or if you're making some sort of sauce that you want to add a little creaminess to or anything like that, then you may find that using these other milks is totally fine. But again, we do have the alternatives like soy milk or pea milk. They do have a little bit of a taste though. So that's the one thing to consider if in baking you want something super specific and you want it to taste exactly how you envision it when it turns out. You may get a slight taste from it. A lot of times with all the other ingredients, you probably don't. But that's just something to consider when you decide to switch up the milk you're using.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I'm so excited about the pea milk.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
And now I just feel like I should go back to soy milk. Like I got off the soy milk, but I'm a breast cancer survivor. So for a while they were like, no soy, no soy.
Yeah.
And now everyone's like, yes, soy. You can have soy. It's protective. It's not, dangerous. And so I'm like, okay, great. Like soy milk has protein in it and everything else doesn't. I mean, other than like regular cow's milk, none of the other ones really do. They have like a gram or two.
Yeah.
You have pea milk.
Try the pea milk. I think you'll like it. It's the only other thing is that it's refrigerated most of the time. So like if you buy soy milk, you may buy it in a carton and you can like leave it in your pantry and you can have it whenever you need, but the pea milk is usually refrigerated. Like you'll find it in the refrigerated section and it has to be refrigerated.
I'm finding I'm much more comfortable these days with things that are not shelf stable because I'm wondering what's making them shelf stable. So like if you're going to buy, maybe you don't load up on the pea milk, you get it as you need it, versus the soy, you can get like 3 or 4 different.
But in other countries,
containers.
Everything is shelf stable. Like I think in Europe, you buy your milk off the shelf, even your dairy milk, right? Isn't it all?
And eggs. They just have different food safety laws than we do, which I don't know exactly how it all works out. I think
they don't
refrigeration is good.
Right?
Yeah,
I think they don't pasteurize. I think pasteurization is what needs you to refrigerate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's possible.
I think so. The other thing to consider with milk, the plant-based milk, something I forgot, they'll probably say on the top a lot, you'll see it if you buy pea milk, shake it well, because what happens is because it's got some stuff in it, like oils and whatever, that all settles at the bottom, and then also the fortification of the nutrients, that all settles at the bottom. So that's actually something to consider, is that you really want to shake it, because otherwise you may be missing out on some nutrients, or it may not taste great when you pour it into a cup.
That's good to know. Thank you. This has been wonderful. So we always like to close our episodes by asking our guests the same 2 questions. The first one is, if you could give our listeners an assignment or a takeaway from today's conversation, what would it be?
I think it would be to not be scared of milk, because I think a lot of people are scared of milk. But also, if you are dairy, lactose intolerant, or something like that, try one of the milks that has a similar nutrition profile, like soy or like pea. And then also, feel free to try the other ones if you want, but look at the nutrition facts of milk and think about, why you're drinking it and how you're going to get the nutrition from them. So I guess my takeaway is kind of try soy or pea if you're not into regular dairy milk.
That's great.
That's great. Okay, and actually I have a quick interjection before we get to our next question. I just thought about that A2 milk that's out.
Yes.
And they say it's easier to digest.
There's different proteins in the milk. There's A1 and there's A2. And some people are not able to digest the A1 protein, but they find that they're able to digest the A2 protein. It's different than lactose intolerance, for
that's what I was
instance.
going to ask about. It doesn't seem to be lactose free. They just say it's easily digestible.
Yeah, so it's for people who kind of find that they can't tolerate that A1 protein, which is hard because how would you know that you're that person, I think? I would assume maybe you're working with a doctor to kind of figure that out. But when it comes to dairy and milk, there's a lot of trial and error because, like I said before, some people who have like IBS can't tolerate milk, but they don't know that until they cut milk out and realize that it was giving them some symptoms, some IBS symptoms. And then the same thing with lactose intolerant. You may not really realize that it's giving you some issues until you cut it out, but then you may find that you can actually have yogurt because yogurt actually has less lactose than milk. So it's a lot of trial and error with these kinds of things to figure out which one works best for you if they're irritating your digestive system in some way.
Right. People that are lactose sensitive seem to do okay with like the Greek yogurt.
Yeah.
So
it's because it has, a lot less lactose.
And I would imagine that the bacteria that's in there also might be helpful with digestion.
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
The live active cultures in yogurt are amazing for the gut. They're probably better. They're better for your gut than taking a probiotic, to be honest. Like yogurt is amazing for the gut.
Good. I like my Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt's like my dessert now. I have Greek yogurt with berries, and some protein powder, and like that's what I have for dessert if I want dessert now. So
nice.
Yay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good news. Yay. Okay.
Yeah. Go for it. Keep having your Greek yogurt.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to ask you our last question. So here at the Digestible Podcast, we like to say, don't panic, just pivot. Can you share a change in your life that you are proud of?
Sure. So becoming a dietitian is actually my second career. I was in advertising for my first career. And when I was around 26, 27, I decided that I did not want to do that anymore. But I had this love of food, and I would cook at home, and I would look at a recipe and think, how do I make this healthier? And I was always experimenting with that and fitness. So I ended up going back to school to become a dietitian, which took a long time because I didn't have any of the science background. You have to do all the science prerequisites. And then I went to grad school. So all of that took about 4 to 5 years to change careers. And I did that. I became a dietitian in 2015, and I have never looked back, and I love it. And yeah, so that is a huge pivot in my life, but it was definitely worth it.
That's
An
great.
excellent one. That's so funny. I was an advertising major and then switched to nutrition as my major, but like at the end of my sophomore year. So I had to do an extra year of school to get in all of those science classes.
Yeah,
it's
so
amazing.
Yeah, because the communications classes don't really translate to biology and chemistry.
No.
Yeah. Going back to doing biochem when you're like in your late 20s is a whole nother ballgame.
I can't even imagine.
I know.
Yeah.
Seriously. Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Congratulations
Thank you.
on finding what you're passionate about.
Yeah, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for listening to the Digestible Podcast with today's guest, registered dietitian Natalie Rizzo. If there's a topic that you'd like for us to cover, please let us know. You can email us at info@digestiblestrategies.com. Please share this episode or anyone that you enjoy with others. It is the best compliment you can give us. We look forward to hearing from you, and remember, don't panic, just pivot. The content shared on this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. We are not medical professionals, and the views expressed here are not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any health conditions. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider before making any health-related decisions.